Hello students. In today's video, we are going to start with a new chapter, Organic Chemistry, some basic principles and techniques. Organic chemistry is a very interesting branch of chemistry as it deals with organic compounds, and these organic compounds are essential for existence and maintenance of life on earth. When we say organic compounds, they include complex materials like DNA, which helps to transmit genetic information from one generation to another generation, and also proteins, which constitute essential components of our blood, muscle, and skin. Most of the material which we use daily, such as clothing, fuel, dyes, and medicines, are made up of organic compounds. So, in this unit, we will be learning about some basic principles and techniques of analysis needed for understanding the formation of organic compounds and their properties. So before we move into the detailed study about organic compounds, let's see the difference between organic and inorganic compounds and what are organic compounds. In the year 1780, around the year 1780, chemists divided all the known compounds into two classes, that is organic and inorganic compounds, mainly based on their sources. So on the basis of their source, which means from where we get these compounds were classified into two classes, organic and inorganic compounds. Compounds which were isolated directly or indirectly from living organisms like plants and animals were called organic compounds. Example, urea, fats, proteins, vitamins, oils. These are all examples of organic compounds. And the branch of chemistry which dealt with the study of organic compounds was called organic chemistry. On the other hand, compounds which were isolated from non-living sources like rocks and minerals were called as or inorganic compounds, and the branch of chemistry which dealt with the study of these compounds was called inorganic chemistry. So compounds like urea, fats, proteins, vitamins, oils, they were obtained from living organisms and they were called as organic compounds. And compounds like common salt, marble were obtained from rocks and minerals and they were called inorganic compounds. Now you would have come across this word organic everywhere. Organic means life. So when you are getting the compounds from living organisms, they were named as organic compounds, and the study of those compounds were called as organic chemistry. So this was the picture from 1780. And until early 19th century, it was believed that organic compounds cannot be prepared in the laboratory but can only be isolated from animals and plants. They had this belief that we cannot prepare organic compounds, and based on this belief, a leading Swedish chemist, Berzelius, in 1815, he pronounced a theory called vital force theory. According to this theory, organic compounds are produced only under the influence of some mysterious force existing in the living organisms. This mysterious force was called vital force. So, according to this theory, this mysterious force, which helps in the formation of organic compounds, cannot be created artificially. So, it is impossible to synthesize organic compounds in the laboratory. This theory was believed for many number of years, and this theory was called as vital force theory, proposed by Berzelius in 1815. So according to him, to put it in simple words, organic compounds cannot be prepared in the laboratory. But in the year 1828, Huller, a German chemist, made an interesting discovery. He accidentally obtained urea, a well-known organic compound, which is present in the urine of man and other mammals. He prepared that urea in the lab by evaporating an aqueous solution of ammonium cyanate, which is a typical inorganic compound. So now that gave a blow to the vital force theory, because according to vital force theory, organic compounds cannot be prepared in the laboratory, But urea, which is a well-known organic compound, was prepared in the laboratory from an inorganic compound. See, this is ammonium cyanate. It is an inorganic compound. When it was heated, what is formed? Urea, NH2, CONH2. And following the preparation of urea, acetic acid was prepared in 1845 by Kolb, and methane was prepared by Berthelot in 1856. All these organic compounds were prepared from inorganic sources. So now vital force theory was proved to be wrong. So after that, thousands and thousands of organic compounds have been synthesized in the laboratory. So what you can conclude from this? Just like inorganic compounds, organic compounds can be easily synthesized in the laboratory. So you cannot say just this as a definition for organic compounds. So as for now, vital theory lost its significance. We need to give a proper definition for organic compounds. It was shown that all organic compounds, whether it is natural or synthetic, essentially contain carbon and hydrogen, and occasionally a few other elements such as oxygen, nitrogen and sulfur were also present in organic compounds. So mainly it contains what? Carbon and hydrogen. So organic chemistry is now defined as the chemistry of carbon compounds containing usually hydrogen and one or more additional elements like oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, halogens, phosphorus, etc. On the other hand, inorganic chemistry is defined as the chemistry of all other elements other than carbon and their compounds. So organic chemistry deals mainly with the carbon and its compounds. When you say hydrocarbons, they are the parent organic compounds because they don't contain any other atoms other than hydrogen and carbon. Such compounds are called as hydrocarbons. So according to modern definition, all the carbon and their compounds should be included under organic chemistry. But we should mention certain compounds like carbon monoxide, CO, carbon dioxide, CO2, and H2CO3, metal carbonyls, metal carbonates. All these should be included in organic chemistry, but they are still under inorganic chemistry because of their great resemblance with inorganic compounds. So more precisely, organic chemistry is defined as the chemistry of hydrocarbons and their derivatives. And again, what are hydrocarbons? Organic compounds that are made up of only carbon and hydrogen atoms are called hydrocarbons, and all other organic compounds can be regarded to have been derived from these hydrocarbons by replacement of one or more hydrogen atoms by other atoms like sulfur, nitrogen, oxygen, etc. So now the question is, why just carbon? Why carbon is so special that it forms a separate branch of chemistry with its compounds? Why is carbon the essential element of all organic molecules? It is because carbon has the remarkable property of catenation. You would have studied about this in grade 10. Catenation is defined as the ability of like atoms, which means the same atoms, to link with one another through covalent bonds. This is because of the smaller size and higher electronegativity of carbon atom and the unique strength of carbon-carbon bonds. So carbon can form a very long chain, and that's the reason we have many different organic compounds. So now coming to the valency of carbon, carbon has an atomic number 6. So the electronic configuration is 2, 4. So it can form 4 covalent bonds with other atoms. And we have learned about the 3 hybridization, sp3, sp2 and sp of carbon in the previous chapter. So all you have to remember is carbon's valency is 4 and it can form 4 covalent bonds with other atoms. And it can be through a single bond or a double bond or a triple bond. I have written few examples here to show the tetravalency of carbon. where it forms 4 bonds with other atoms. Here carbon, this is CH4. Carbon has formed 4 covalent bonds with 4 hydrogen atoms. Next one, carbon tetrachloride. Carbon bonded with 4 chlorine atoms. And the next one, ethane. Carbon, we have 2 carbons. For each carbon atom, valency is 4. So this carbon bonded with 3 hydrogen atoms and 1 carbon atom. So the valency 4 is satisfied for this carbon. Now coming to this carbon, it has bonded with 4 atoms with 1 carbon and 3 other hydrogens. So this is CH3 bond CH3, which is ethane. I will teach you all this naming, how to name these compounds under the topic nomenclature. Next one is ethene. We have 2 carbon atoms, 1 carbon bonded with 2 hydrogen atoms and 2 more valency. It has formed a double bond with another carbon atom. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Valency 4 is satisfied for this carbon, and for this carbon again 1, 2, 3, 4. This is ethene. Now here carbon is bonded with another carbon with a triple bond and another side with a hydrogen atom. So for this carbon 1, 2, 3, 4. Valency 4 is satisfied. Same way for this carbon, valency 4 is satisfied. This is ethyne. So in all these compounds, carbon shows a valency of 4. So we say carbon is tetravalent. Now we will move on to the structural representation of organic compounds. In grade 10, you would have studied some simple organic compounds. But now as you are in grade 11, you will be learning about a little more complex organic compounds. So we will see how to write the complete formula, condensed formula and the bond line formula of organic compounds. So now we will see some structural representation of organic compounds. So when we write a formula for the organic compounds, make sure the valency of carbon 4 is satisfied. So I've written a formula here, C, 3H here, and this C is again bonded to another carbon, 3H, which in turn is bonded to 3 other hydrogens. This is the complete formula, the expanded formula. And you can write it in a condensed form like CH3 bond CH3. So this is a condensed formula. This is the complete formula or the expanded formula, and this is the condensed formula. Or furthermore, condensed formula will be how many carbon atoms are there? 2 carbon atoms. How many hydrogen atoms are there? 6. C2H6 is the condensed formula, or you can call this as the molecular formula also. Total number of atoms will be counted and they'll be written like this. So this is again another form of condensed formula. And the second example, I've written C2H and carbon bonded with a double bond with another carbon, and this carbon in turn bonded with 2 other hydrogen atoms. This can be written as CH2 double bond CH2. Or how many carbon atoms? 2 carbon atoms and 4 hydrogen atoms, C2H4. This is the condensed formula. And look at this example. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbon atoms. So here this carbon atom is bonded with 3 hydrogen atoms, and another side it is bonded with another carbon. So now for this carbon, 4 valency should be satisfied. So this side a carbon, here a hydrogen, and here instead of hydrogen, we have replaced the hydrogen with a bromine atom. So again a bond, carbon, C, bond H, and again a bond, 3CH with this carbon. So this is the complete formula, and the condensed formula would be, see, this is CH3, CHBr, so CH3, CH and Br is put in the bracket, and again CH2 and CH3. So this is the condensed formula, CH3, CHBr, CH2, CH3. So now we have seen how to write the complete formula and the condensed formula. But usually in competitive exams and other question papers, you would not see mostly these type of formula like complete or condensed formula. Instead, you will be having something called bond line formula. Instead of mentioning carbon and hydrogens, we use these bond lines to represent the organic compound. See, I have written a few zigzag lines here. I'll show you what does that represent. Usually the terminal ones at the end of the bond line, the terminal ones represent CH3 group. So if it is left as such, this is what? CH3. what is this? This is also CH3, and same way if you put a substituent like this, a terminal line, this is also CH3 group, and all the middle ones like this, they are CH2, unsubstituted CH2. So this is CH2, this is CH2, this is also CH2, CH2, CH2. This will not be CH2. This will be CH, because in that CH2, one hydrogen is replaced with a CH3. So if you put a line like this is CH3. Without this line here, this is CH2. When there is a line like this, which means a hydrogen here is replaced by CH3. So this will be CH. So CH3, CH2, CH, CH2, 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 CH3. So this is the bond line structure. So now I'll show you how to write this formula in bond line structure. Now see, you have a CH3 here. So start from here. So this represents this end represents CH3. So after CH3, you have a CH. So this is the CH. In that CH, actually this is CH2. In that CH2, a hydrogen is replaced by Br. So put a line here and write Br. Without writing Br, then this would be CH3. So now it is Br. So from Br, it is connected to CH2. So CH2, and again, now it comes here and it is terminal CH3. So CH3, CHBr, CH2, CH3. So this represents this organic compound. So this is the bond line structure, and this is how you have to represent. Let's see one more example of bond line structure. I have taken 3-methyl octane. So this is the formula: CH3, CH2, CH, CH3, CH2, 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 CH3. And remember, I told you carbon is capable of catenation, so it can form a very long chain. And whenever you draw the formula of an organic compound, always make sure the valency of carbon is satisfied. It is 4. It can be either balanced by a hydrogen atom or with another carbon. Now see, this carbon valency 4, it has 3 hydrogens and 1 is bonded with carbon. Now taking this carbon, 4 valency, one side a carbon, the other side another carbon, so 2 valencies are satisfied, and 2 more valencies satisfied by hydrogen. So usually in the beginning and at the end you will be having CH3. In the middle you will have CH2. If you have any substituents in that CH2, you will remove a hydrogen. Instead of that, you will put the substituent. You are substituting with some other group. This is methyl group. So now how to write this in the bond line formula? So before writing it into bond line formula, let's try to write this in this format. See, start with CH3. CH3, you have CH2 and then CH, CH3, CH2, 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 CH3. Let's count the number of carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here also we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the third carbon we have a methyl group. So this is the methyl group. So how to name this as 3-methyl octane, I'll be teaching you in the upcoming videos. So as for now, just try to understand how to represent the bond line structure. So this and this are same. The only difference, I've written it in the zigzag pattern just to show the bond line structure. Now this end is the terminal one. So terminal one represents CH3. So we are starting from here. So this is CH3. You're writing a line. So this is CH2. This is CH because there is a substituent CH3. If it is Br or I, then you have to mention like this. If it is CH3, you can leave it as such. It is understood. It is CH3. So this is CH2, 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 CH3. So this and this all are representing the same organic compound 3-methyl octane. Now we have seen the bond line structure of compounds which are acyclic, which means they are straight chain. They are not cyclic. Now we are going to see the bond line formula of cyclic compounds. See, this is a cyclic compound. We have 3 carbon atoms, CH2, bond CH2, bond CH2. If you are writing it in a straight line like CH3, CH2, CH3, that would be propane. Now it is cyclic. We call this as cyclopropane, and this is represented by a triangle. So this corner, this one is CH2. This is again CH2. This is also CH2. Same way, see, here 4 CH2 are bonded together. CH2, 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 4, and it can be represented as a square. So this is cyclobutane. When there are 4 carbon atoms, we use the name but. So cyclobutane. And next one, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 CH2. It is cyclic, so we call this as cyclopentane. It is in this shape and in a pentagon shape. If you are writing the same compound in a straight line, which would be a different compound, not the same compound, you will be writing it as CH3, CH2, 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 CH3. So you will be having CH2, CH2. You will be having 5 carbon atoms. In the front and the back you will be having CH3. In the middle you will be having 3 CH2. So that would be just pentane. This is cyclopentane. Both are entirely different compounds. They have different characteristics. So we call those compounds as acyclic compounds. These compounds as cyclic compounds. So just a triangle represents a cyclopropane, a square is cyclobutane, a pentagon is cyclopentane, a hexagon will represent a cyclohexane. So this is how we write the bond line formula of cyclic compounds. Now we will move on to the classification of organic compounds. When we started, we classified the entire compounds into two categories, organic and inorganic. Now we have started learning about organic compounds and how to represent them. Now we will see how to classify all the known organic compounds. When I told you the definition of organic compounds, I told you the simplest organic compounds containing only hydrogen and carbon are called hydrocarbons. These hydrocarbons are considered to be parent organic compounds, whereas all the other organic compounds are thought to be derived from these hydrocarbons by replacement of one or more of their hydrogen atoms by other atoms or group of atoms. As I told you, the number of organic compounds is becoming large as the study of organic chemistry advances. So, to study the chemical behavior of these compounds individually, all the known organic compounds have been broadly divided into two categories depending upon the nature of their carbon skeleton. So, based on the carbon skeleton, we have two categories, cyclic or open chain compounds, acyclic or open chain compounds, cyclic or closed chain compounds. So let's start with acyclic or open chain compounds. These compounds contain open chains of carbon atoms in their molecules. So these carbon chains may be either straight chains or branched. Look at the example. See, this is a straight chain having 4 carbon atoms. We call this as butane. And here we have 4 carbon atoms, again a straight chain. We call this as butane. And this is also an open chain, but it is branched like this. So CH3, CH, CH3, CH3. We call this as 2-methyl propane. So all these are examples of acyclic or open chain compounds. So these compounds will be having open chain of carbon atoms in their molecules, and this carbon chains can be straight chains or branched like this. Now coming to cyclic or closed chain compounds, which can also be called as ring compounds. These compounds contain one or more closed chains or rings of atoms in their molecules. Here they will be straight chains or branched chains. Here they will be having a closed ring type of structure. So depending upon the constitution of the ring, these cyclic or closed chain or ring compounds are further divided into two categories, homocyclic and heterocyclic compounds. Homocyclic compounds are also called as carbocyclic compounds. So cyclic compounds are further classified into two categories, homocyclic and heterocyclic compounds. Now coming to homocyclic compounds, which are also called as carbocyclic, these compounds contain rings which are made up of only one kind of atoms, that is carbon atoms. They don't have any other atoms in between. So the entire chain will be made of only carbon atoms. This homocyclic compounds are further classified into two subclasses, alicyclic and aromatic. Look at the difference. This is acyclic, this is alicyclic. So homocyclic further classified into alicyclic and aromatic. When you take alicyclic, they are homocyclic compounds which resemble aliphatic compounds. These acyclic are also called as aliphatic compounds. So this alicyclic compounds, they also represent aliphatic compounds in most of their properties. These are the examples of alicyclic. See, what is this? Cyclopropane, cyclobutane, cyclopentane. As I told you, they will be made up of only one type of atoms, which is carbon atom. Nothing else, any other atom is not present here. So other subclass in homocyclic is aromatic. Aromatic compounds are special type of cyclic unsaturated compounds. Unsaturated means they'll be having either double or triple bonds. Saturated compounds only single bonds. Unsaturated compounds, there might be double or triple bond in that compound. So these aromatic compounds are special type of cyclic unsaturated compounds. The name aromatic has been derived from the Greek word aroma, which means fragrant smell, because most of the compounds of this class discovered earlier had a pleasant smell. So they gave this name aromatic compounds. But however, the term aromatic has now lost its original significance because many aromatic compounds are now known to possess unpleasant odors. So aromatic compounds are special type of cyclic unsaturated compounds. These aromatic compounds are further classified into two types, benzenoid and non-benzenoid. First, benzenoid aromatic compounds. Organic compounds containing one or more fused or isolated benzene rings and their derivatives are called benzenoid aromatic compounds. You know, this is a benzene ring. The formula is C6H6. So, benzene ring in isolated form or benzene ring in fused form or derivative of benzene ring. This is OH, an alcohol derivative. All these compounds containing benzene ring are called benzenoid aromatic compounds. And the other category, non-benzenoid aromatic compound. They are aromatic compounds which do not contain a benzene ring, but instead they contain other highly unsaturated rings. Such compounds are called as non-benzenoid aromatic compounds. So here they will be having benzene ring, here no benzene ring. Few examples of non-benzenoid compounds are written here. This is called as cyclopropenyl cation. Cyclopropenyl, 3 carbon atoms, we use the root name prop. So cyclopropenyl cation, and this one is called as cycloheptatrienyl cation. Hepta because we have 7 carbon atoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This and this are not same. Here we have only 6 carbon atom and this is benzene and this is cycloheptatrienyl. 3 double bonds are there. So we use trienyl cation, and this one is called as cyclopentadienyl anion. So all these 3 are examples of non-benzenoid aromatic compounds. So these are all the subdivisions in homocyclic compounds. Now coming to heterocyclic compounds. Cyclic compounds which contain one or more heteroatoms in their rings are called heterocyclic compounds. When we said homocyclic, that cycle is made up of only one type of atom, that is carbon atom. See, we don't have any other atoms here. All these are carbon atoms. In here you will get a doubt, we have OH here. We are talking about the ring. Inside the ring, we don't have any other atoms, only carbon atoms and hydrogen atoms. But here, the ring will contain other atoms and not just carbon atoms. I have written few examples. Before that, this heterocyclic is further classified into two types, alicyclic and aromatic. Alicyclic heterocyclic compounds, aromatic heterocyclic compounds. Now coming to alicyclic, we have already seen alicyclic homocyclic compounds. What is alicyclic homocyclic? They will be made up of only one type of atom and they will be cyclic. So in that structure, if you introduce any other atoms other than carbon, then you get alicyclic heterocyclic compound. See, this is cyclopropane. In that, if you introduce the oxygen atom, this is alicyclic heterocyclic compounds example. And look at this example. This is cyclobutane, which is alicyclic. In that cyclobutane, we have extra oxygen atom instead of one CH2. Now this is again alicyclic heterocyclic compound. And next, coming to aromatic heterocyclic compound, they are containing one or more heteroatoms in their aromatic compound. So this is the aromatic compound like this. These are all aromatic compounds. Here in the cycle, if you have any other atoms other than carbon, then we call that as aromatic heterocyclic compound. Now look here, this one, without this oxygen atom, this would be like this. Now this is made up of only one type of atom, this entire ring, but here in this ring we have oxygen atom. Same way, in this aromatic structure, if you introduce any other atoms, then we get heterocyclic aromatic compounds. The name of this compound is furan and the name of this is pyridine. So these two are examples of heterocyclic aromatic compounds when you have a different atom in the ring other than carbon. So now let's have a short recall. Organic compounds are classified into two types, acyclic and cyclic. Acyclic, no closed chain. We have all open chains. It can be straight or branched. In cyclic, we have two types, homocyclic, heterocyclic. The entire ring is made up of only one type of atom. It is homocyclic. If it is made up of different atoms other than carbon, then we call this as hetero. Homo means same, hetero means different. And homocyclic is further classified into alicyclic and aromatic, and hetero is also classified into alicyclic and aromatic. In alicyclic, you will be having only closed rings having only carbon, and they represent mostly the aliphatic compounds in their properties, which means they don't have benzene ring. Now when you come to aromatic, you have two types, benzenoid, non-benzenoid. Benzenoid will be having benzene ring, non-benzenoid will not be having any benzene ring. And now coming to heterocyclic, if you introduce any other atom in this alicyclic, you get heterocyclic alicyclic compound. Same way in aromatic, if you introduce any other atom in between, then you get heterocyclic aromatic compounds. Alicyclic is just like the acyclic, but this will be straight, this will be closed. So we are done with the introduction of organic compounds, and we have seen classification also. So as for now, try to understand this classification and what are organic compounds, and don't worry about how to name these compounds. We will be doing that in another video in a very clear manner. So don't worry about the naming of organic compounds. As for now, just have an idea about organic compounds and their classification. Thank you.